search of the 3 missing Montgomery College students continues in Frederick County.
And I got to play with your wand. It was great.
Definitely fun.
Oh, keep going.
All right. Welcome to a new episode of Footage Foreplay. Today we are joined by Miriam. Yes. Wife of Uncle Frank Productions, but she in her own right, she is traveling the world. What'd you say? You're going to Greece and Atlanta. Where you going, girl? You going everywhere.
Well,
You got a lot of stuff going on, girl.
I love making the joke that your Uncle Frank is my daddy, right? So, so just to clarify the
Oh, that's your daddy. Oh, your daddy. Yes. Yeah, because he's my uncle. That's your daddy. So what would that make us? We cousins. Hey, Primo. Turn up. That's a different daddy for you, girl. I get it. Anyway, it's early. Anyway, so how are you, girl?
We just started. I'm good. Yeah, really busy. Now is obviously the busy season because we're heading towards Halloween. And, you know, for our industry, it means it's a marathon until early November. So a lot of traveling, a lot of events, a lot of pitching. There's just a lot going on, but life is good.
Good. So tell us a little bit about you for people who don't know you. Listen.
Yeah. So
where'd you get your start? Yeah.
I'm a cross-media horror producer. That means I specialize in the genre of horror, but I work in film, television, video game development, events, marketing, slightly some projects in literature, and currently working my way towards theater as well. So as long as it somehow deals with the elegant art of spooky and strange, it's my cup of tea.
Period.
Okay.
Period. And you have you run a film fest, don't you?
Mm-hmm. So
it's
the main event that we throw is with my colleague Colton Scribner, PhD. He's got his PhD in morbid curiosity. By the way, also his book is coming out this year, so you know, make sure you get that morbidly curious book. Also plugging his stuff because why not? But he
morbidly curious.
I believe that's what it's called. But Colton Scribner, like Google his name. And so we run this event together called the Nightmare in the Ozarks Film Festival. It's a horror film festival. Last year was our first year. There it is. There's the book. Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, so last year was our first year, actually, but we ended up in the New York Times on a top 5 list of Halloween film festivals worth traveling for. And
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great. Clock that.
Thank you. For a first year as an indie horror film festival, that was pretty outrageous. And we also...
Ooh, outrageous.
don't reference shit nobody's
gonna get it until later, but yeah, that was great. Yes.
Oh, God.
But we also run it with with the Eureka Spring Zombie Crawl, which is mostly Colton's work then, and we run them together. And there was an estimated 20,000 people at that last year, and it ended up on the Today Show. So yeah, we really put a lot of effort in this and work with a lot of great partners and affiliates, distributors. The town really supports us. And this year we're partnering with Rue Morgue for the
magazine.
Yeah. And wait, I have a list of our other partners that I should probably bring up as well. But effectively, give me a moment.
Eureka Springs, my ex-wife, her aunt used to live there, and she talked very highly of that town and that they were very like supportive of the arts, and
it's very artsy. It's very LGBTQIA friendly. Really big on Halloween, and considering it's also in Arkansas, which is not necessarily a place you would travel to visit a festival.
No,
I know there are some festivals that are not too far away that are more like industry events, but this is from horror fans for horror fans, and we also have industry stuff. So we also partner with Dark Sky, Severin Films, Black Mandela.
Severin!
Yeah. Great people. It's good. They deserve it. They all do. And so what we also do is we have partners So Professor Athena Ectipus, who is a biome professor who specializes in all things like zombie and apocalypse, she runs in Eureka Springs in that week the Zombie Apocalypse Medicine Meeting, which is a medical conference for those who want to speak on or hear about science related to zombie and apocalypse themes. And so all of our networking events are between industry filmmakers and scientists, rather than just splitting the industries up and having everyone mingle separately. So if you're a horror film fan, come, especially the market we have is family friendly as well. The zombie crawl is family friendly. The festival itself, maybe not so much. And the Zombie Apocalypse Medicine Meeting is an absolute blast. Basically, the whole town celebrates Halloween in the week that we throw our events. And it's a very safe and fun and, yeah, just cool place to celebrate Halloween. I would consider it one of the big Halloween towns of the US, but come and judge yourself.
That sounds
Zed's Drugs and Rock and Roll. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Mariam, now
it's a hoopla. It's a thing.
This is rad.
Everybody knows, we bring it up every time we have a guest, that we do a film fest. And I'd really like to take this opportunity to kind of pick your brain, because you're doing an indie horror film fest, but you're so much more professional. Like your first year, you got in the New York Times. Our first year, people showed up and we were very happy.
I mean,
and
our
we love them.
Expectations were, if 25 people come, we're excited. If 50 people come, it's great. We ended up having over 600 people in our first year. So yeah.
What the hell is that?
Oh my! What you do differently, girl? You must have gave some. What you do?
What?
Why did you get all those people? That's so good.
I made my friend Colton do all the bonuses with the tickets. No, we had this.
Wow, that's amazing.
We had a system in place. So effectively, and obviously you go into throwing a festival, not because you want to make money, but because you're passionate about whatever you're doing. Because if you think you're going to make money, forget about it. So what we did was we planned milestones and basically said every time we sell this number of tickets, we're going to purchase and reinvest in this thing. So we have the world's only zombie red carpet. So you can pose on the red carpet in front of a professional photographer. We, as one of the milestones for ticket sales, so there's a local cryptid in the Ozarks forest or woods. Called the Howler, and we had that made as like an 8-foot statue with like fake fur and stuff. So you can pose.
That sounds cool.
On the red carpet in your zombie outfit. So we gave ourselves these little milestones. So basically every time we personally hit one through ticket sales, we could make another new reveal about this new thing that we basically got for the festival. And so, our success is, this is the Howler. There we go. Lots of different designs. It's sort of like a bear, wolf, goat sort of everything.
I like this one with the antlers here. They are kind of like goat horns, I guess, but they have an antler vibe with these curves. Yeah. I like that.
Well, actually, the one that we had modeled, it should be on the website somewhere, but the guy who made it is a local artist, and he owns goats. And so he modeled the horns by putting a cast around one of his goat's horns and then recreated them. So they're actually shaped after his goat's horns. And we had that system. Yeah, it's in all the poster work. There should be photos somewhere where you can actually see the one on the red carpet. But effectively, the other thing we did was, so I work in marketing. As you know, Uncle Frank and I, we also team up on a lot of these marketing campaigns, and a lot of what I do is the strategy, and a lot of what he does is the assets, but he's also really clever with out-of-the-box thinking. And so I have experience in marketing, and something a lot of people get wrong is when they're marketing something, they want it to be either too formulaic or too intuitive. And in my opinion, good marketing is something that combines both. So you need to understand what it is you are sharing with the world and what it stands for, what it means. And once you understand that, then you understand who you're attracting to it. And so you need to do like a market analysis, a competitor analysis. You need to do a target audience analysis, which sounds like very boring work, but the core is the integrity behind what it is you're marketing. And then the strategy comes from more analysis work. And so we realized that a lot of the platforms we instinctively would have advertised on were not actually the platforms where our target audience was active. And we didn't really want to do anything on Facebook, for example, because we personally don't necessarily use Facebook a lot, but a lot of locals and in a certain radius, they want to check Facebook for events. So we started advertising on Facebook and we got a lot of tickets sold that way. Instagram was another one that we really like to use. And so we use that as well. And then a lot of like word of mouth, right? Because when you're working with a lot of businesses, we work with the businesses during this week. We kind of coordinate everything and all the events to make sure they're not competing with each other. So if a business knows, hey, they're working with us on this, not against us, then they'll also tell more people and more people will come. And like I said, for the zombie call itself, thousands of people were there. And, you couldn't really drive in properly with a car. There were like these places where you had to park and then shuttle in and stuff. And it's a lot of people. So, and we work, of course, with law enforcement on that, and that's another thing that I take a lot of pride in. I hope it would be the same this year. But I spoke to an officer after the event, and she said that considering how many people we had, there were 0 incidents at the whole event. And she said,
wow.
well, no offense, but it makes you realize that you horror fans are really just a bunch of geeks. And I said, none taken. We are exactly that. We like dressing up. We like looking at other people's costumes because oftentimes you get more music events. And at music events, people drink a lot of alcohol. And that usually leads to complications, but not this. I mean, yes, people also drank alcohol, but people weren't there to get drunk. They were there to dress like zombies and look at other cool zombie costumes and watch cool horror films. So no incidents, which again, knock on wood, I hope happens again. But it's really about working with people rather than against people, understanding the integrity of what it is you're doing, and then being systematic about how you move forward to communicate this in a very clear and transparent way.
Okay. Well, here's why we had you on. So I have notes. I'm ready to learn.
Okay, come on.
I've read. I'm half joking. So when you're finding your target audience, how do you pull in that data? Do you just have are you represented on every platform and just see what tracks better for you? Or do you actually have like a third-party program?
So it's not just about who knows about your profile already, because you also want to attract people who have never heard of you before. Again, last year was our first year. So we didn't have an audience that we could already fall back on and sort of analyze. So look at your comps. Who are people, your competitors, people you compare yourself to, and approach some of them and look at the comments and the engagement, like who's commenting, who's liking these stuff. And if you can talk to people in the industry, talk to them like, what are your positive and negative experiences when you go on social media? Like, tell me a little bit about that. And sort of don't be afraid to talk to other friends in the industry who maybe come from a different pocket of the industry, but have an overlap with their audience base, and talk to them about it. And then you can use different sorts of metrics or tools online or Google Trends or whatever, and you can look up certain words and keywords and that sort of data that's publicly accessible even without having to pay money. And then, pool all that information together, like do some serious research before you come up with a campaign so you understand what the market's like. Because the truth of the matter is, the market is constantly changing as well. It's constantly evolving. And something that larger, more established companies struggle with is they have a system that's been in place for so long that they keep it static and assume it'll always work. And so considering there are then so many levels of approval needed to do anything differently, they are slow. They're strong, but they're slow. And when you're smaller, you're agile, right? So you can actually get this data, you can sit your team down, and you could say, you know what, we're passionate about this thing, and we know there are other people out there who are passionate about this too. How do we reach them with our cool thing that we're all excited about? And you can be flexible and quick and maneuver and respond to the market. And I think for people like us, horror fans specifically, horror is already such a responsive genre. Whenever something changes in society or in a person's psyche, an individual, a community, a people, whatever scale, the horror genre is often used to process that. So it is in the nature of this type of storytelling that we are taking in our environment and we are quickly reacting to it and creating stories that are a response to what's happening to us and around us. So we as horror fans already have that mindset to stay on our toes. If you understand that you already possess the skills to translate that into a business sense, then you've unlocked this secret that I think a lot of artists are afraid to face because they think you're either business or you're art, but you can do both and keep the integrity of the story.
Well, Mariam, I have a hypothetical for you. What would you recommend to, let's just say there's like a film fest and they have like both problems. They don't really know how to reach an audience. Maybe they have like kind of a unique product in its respective market and they're old. They're not agile anymore. Maybe they've done like, I don't know, 13 festivals, 5 online, 8 in person. And they have kind of a market that was like rejecting in-person events for a while, like, you know, hypothetically like San Francisco. And it's like, what would you recommend to a struggling film fest like that?
So
we can go ahead and call it up just for this hypothetical little experiment we're doing.
Yeah. So for starters, I would revisit how you define the metrics of success. Because a lot of people think to be successful, you need a lot of people and a lot of money and a lot of films. And that's not true, right? There's a lot of pride to be taken into having a close, small community that is still passionate and respectful and excited. Even if it is like 25 people who show up every year. Damn, those are 25 people who show up every year.
We have more than 25, okay?
I thought this was a hypothetical.
She said hypothetically, just like you did. That's
I'm sorry.
Clever and funny.
Sorry.
Hypothetically.
If you have 3 people who are also the organizers, but they show up every year.
We're there and we're happy, okay? We have a lot of fun.
So I think we need to generally, and this is also a very American thing, it's like bigger, better, right? We need to rethink what it means to be successful. Because if we set goals that don't match what we're actually doing, then we won't be happy because we won't reach them. It's not a fit. And when you're in a city like San Francisco that constantly has something going on and all the big events are like crazy money thrown towards them. You're beating yourself up if you try to get anywhere near that, because that's not the kind of event you're throwing with a niche horror festival, right? That doesn't mean you're going to have less fun, but that has to start, right? Your mindset around the metrics of success. And then after that, it's sort of like, okay, well, if you don't want to be agile, ask yourself why, and also how you define agility, right? So are you maybe expecting that being flexible and agile maybe means something bigger than it has to be? Because very small changes can already go a very long way, but you need to prepare your mindset to be open to those small changes. So, revisit your own motivations in this whole thing. I think that's really important. And I know this sounds like very, it's all about what's going on in your head, but it is true, because the idea is that
Mariam, you sound like a therapist, girl. Have you went to therapists? Like, have you done that kind of stuff? Because you're a therapist.
Did your mom hug you enough when you were planning this festival?
I love my mom. I talk to her every day, girl. I get lots of hugs.
No, that's perfect.
She's a therapist.
No, but that's the thing. Like in horror, it's always about psychology, right? I mean, I always say
definitely
are focused on the fear, but you can't be scared of something if nothing matters, right? You need to be afraid of losing something, of hurting someone, of, that fear has to come from love and desire first. And to understand that's psychological. So, and I do work with a lot of behavioral scientists, psychologists, researchers. A lot of my work is also tied, because I think you can't reinvent the wheel, but if you want to tell a story of the now, you need to understand the zeitgeist, which is psychological. So there is a big component to that. So when I work with festivals, it's the same thing. It needs to start in your heads first, because if someone says, I'm not willing to change and it's everyone's fault but mine, then you're not going to change, and it's not going to move forward.
True. Clock
But
it.
if something isn't working out and you want it to, and you're trying hard, rather than saying, what am I doing wrong? Ask yourself, what obstacle is in the way that I can't overcome with my work, and then pivot your strategy away from that obstacle. So don't beat yourself up about things that aren't going right. Just change your strategy. Something that I always say, and I wish more people just like took this in. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the calculation to get there. And the moment you understand that, you start strategizing differently.
Oh yeah,
Girl, she's taking us to church. So,
fail forward. No, it's real.
This is great. She's serving.
Wait,
Okay.
Terrell, I know you want to pivot away from this, but
I do.
I know. Hold on, I got one more. No, well, here's another thing.
I do.
Mary, I don't know if you want me like putting what country you're living in, because you are all over the planet.
She everywhere. She everywhere.
But she's
runs
not currently
in
in
San Diego.
She's not currently in the States, though. And it's interesting because clearly you understand like markets, and you're good at this. And
she is. You can hear it.
I'm like, so the only reason, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but the only reason the Unnamed Footage Fest is in the Bay Area is because that's where me and Terrell and Oksana live. And it's like a good opportunity. But clearly the foresight, like also pre-production for UF was like, yeah, we got to get found footage movies and get them to agree to let us show them. That's about the amount of thought that went into it. And we've just been figuring it out. But with yours, you picked Arkansas, and you had like, I'm guessing now that you knew about the zombie event prior, and probably put the fest in there around it.
So that's an interesting question. What happened was my colleague Colton, who has also lived in different places, and when we met, he lived in Chicago, and eventually he moved to San Francisco, and he wanted to change things up and move somewhere else, and he went on vacation to Eureka Springs because it's a quirky, weird place. And while he was there, he saw that there was a hotel for sale, like a bed and breakfast for sale. And he said, you know what, I'm just going to buy it. And so, well, the thing is, it was an already successful business. I'm not going to get into his finances, but it made sense. And so he did, and he moved there. The reason why he took that trip there was because it was known as like this alternative sort of place. And once he was there and he loved it, he decided he wanted to move there, and, that's what he did. And so while he was there, he and I sort of looked at it and said, okay, well, this really is a great place. And he really convinced me, like gave me the whole, pitch on Eureka Springs. And we've been working together on different projects for the last few years. And we're like, okay, well, how do we do this? And so the zombie crawl had already been around for several years, but it sort of died down during the pandemic and needed a revival. So he ended up buying the rights to the zombie crawl, and said, I'm going to run it now because I work in this field, so I might as well. And so he did the first year of the zombie crawl as on his own, as is. And then what happened was last year, I had surgery and I was out for 6 weeks, and he hit me up and he said, hey, why don't we throw a film festival during the zombie crawl? And I said, what are you talking about? I'm supposed to be resting. Like, I work all the freaking time. What is this? And he said, think about it. The hardest part about a festival is getting butts in seats. I've got a handle on this zombie crawl now, and I do think we can scale everything up. let's do it together. And I'm also more connected in the film industry than he is. And, sort of have an idea of what's out there and who to talk to acquire films in addition to submissions, and also to, tell people that we're taking submissions and to spread the word. So I said, unfortunately, that makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to have to do everything remote. Our programming team is probably going to have to be remote because we're all in different countries. And I'm going to have to then fly over for the event, a little in advance so we can set everything up. Are you cool with that? And he's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we ended up getting sponsorships from all over the place and setting all this up. And you'd be surprised how many of the big festivals actually have directors who live in a completely different state than the actual event. It's very common because it's more about the networks and the expertise people have than where they actually live. And there's something to be said about being a big fish in a small pond over a small fish in a big pond, which is exactly the problem you have with San Francisco. And I live in Germany, so everything I do is remote and requires travel because there's no horror industry, unfortunately, in Germany. It's sort of, relocated during the Second World War and hasn't really come back to the full extent since. That is the geography of everything, and that's how the festival came about.
Yeah, I had to ask because it seems like everybody is enjoying your festival. Where the experience I had is I was doing judging for a film fest out in New Orleans, and there was a new one that popped up. It was a small indie one, and then the Overlook Film Fest moved out there. Which, shout out to them. I think we got so many people on the last podcast I was on just because they thought it was related to that film fest, whatever. But everybody was kind of like, oh, this is like an evil LA corporation that came in and kind of ate up something that we could have done homegrown. Yeah. So there was almost like, because New Orleans does have a lot of horror culture. Yeah. And they have kind of an industry out there. They have like 13th Gates. They have a lot of big haunts. And then it's like, oh, somebody came in and kind of like, now it becomes a like battle during the holiday season where it's like, oh, are we taking people away from like local events? Where yours, I mean, now it completely makes sense. I thought you were just so savvy that you knew about an event and you're like, oh no, we could do something right there and it could be like copacetic.
It was like a domino effect, right? I mean, you have to look at what you have in front of you, and then hard work is necessary, but like the path of least resistance. If the universe is making it hard, then it's obviously not working. And was it Albert Einstein who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? And so when I try something out and it doesn't work, I pivot, and then I try something new out that makes sense. And if it does work, I stick with it and I invest more. But yeah, it was really interesting when we had the festival last year, and I sort of made some announcements and spoke to people, and I said, look, you folks, because these are non-industry people, which is really refreshing. You did something in LA, you're going to get a lot of like industry. Yeah. This is Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I said, you folks are the tastemakers of the future of horror. What you say online about these films and how you talk about these films will help them get distribution deals and attention when they go, public with everything. So take this responsibility seriously. Don't just have fun, but understand that you are part of the system by sitting here and watching these movies. And a lot of these horror film fans that really just came for fun, they suddenly felt this sense of pride that they were part of something bigger and more important, because if you don't work in the industry, you don't understand the connection of all these parts. And someone who's sitting in the South or the Midwest, their view on these horror films is really important. I mean, these are huge markets, and especially because a lot of content is produced East and West Coast. There's not always necessarily an understanding for storytelling that speaks to the rest of the country. And that doesn't mean that they're less important. They're just as important, depending on the area, more important. And so it's really important for these people to speak up about what they like and what they dislike, so the market understands what to invest in moving forward.
Yeah, that's incredible. Hold on.
Yeah, for sure.
Is this Eureka? Is this the zombie crawl?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
God, even the architecture on the
place,
East Coast.
Yeah. Oh, let me see.
It's very romantic. It's also
It
considered
is. I see Leatherface.
wedding, very romantic Leatherface. But considered the
Okay.
wedding capital of Arkansas as well. So it's both a wedding capital and a Halloween town. So it's
Where's the
really-
red carpet? I want to take a picture on that red
it's
carpet.
inside. I'm trying to see if there's a picture that I can send to.
Look how many people are fully decked out too. That's rad.
Right?
Yeah, there is. Look at that outfit. This looks
That's fucking
fun.
so cool. Even the kids. There's kids decked out.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
sick.
Do you dress up for this as well?
Yeah, on the zombie crawl day, I dress up as well, of course.
Oh, I love it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna have to come up to this one.
Yeah, you
year.
do,
This is
Evan.
cool.
How far are you, Evan?
I think it's like a 8.5 hour drive or so. I mean, I'm not that far.
It's not that bad.
That's not
Yeah.
that bad. It's like me going to Vegas.
It's like a day trip drive.
Dude, if you
I
go
can
up
get
there,
in a day.
I want some Howler merch.
Yeah, get us some,
Yeah, the
get us some
Howler's sick.
t-shirts.
Yeah.
What's
want a
up with the
t-shirt.
Howler? What's the story on that thing? Is there any
You
like
know,
lore?
It's local lore. It's a local cryptid. We definitely wanted something that was specific to the area and the Ozarks, and there. I mean, we all know cryptids. There's so many out there, but everyone always just thinks of the same ones over and over again. But the Howler is local to this area, and so we were like, you know what? He's our guy. I actually just, Russell, on Messenger sent you a link with a search, and one of the images is one of the journalists before the event started on the carpet next to the Howler. So if you open that, you might be able to catch it. And yeah, so
Ooh, the Howler.
yeah, what we end up doing is on the Saturday during the zombie crawl, we pause the festival so everyone can go and have fun at the crawl. And then what we end up doing is we do an award show. And actually, we have these. So I have this award right here because I am yet to give it to one of the filmmakers. Let me see if I can open this because it's taped closed. It looks awesome. And it's also done by a local artist. But effectively, we do the award show, and then afterwards we show like a classic horror film. And before the award show, people can then line up on the carpet in their zombie outfits after the crawl and get their pictures taken. So yeah, let me just open this up so you can see what our awards look like.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I'm excited. Yeah,
that's rad.
I am. When I was booking Miriam for this, she was like, "Oh, are you guys going to come out?" And I was like, "God, I want to. We should plan to one year."
Yeah,
You
that'd be
should.
fun, dude. Take a trip out.
You'd all get press passes. So these are our awards.
Oh, I love
you see
it.
it?
How do I
What the
win
fuck?
one? Oh, I want one. Oh, I love it.
You got to make a damn movie.
So it's
Oh,
basically
That's so cool.
it's the Howler skull, and obviously
Oh, it
it's
looks so
covered in blood.
cool.
And then you have Nightmare in the Ozarks, and then best short film is this one. So this I'm going to hand to the short filmmaker in
It
person.
look heavy.
You know what? Yeah, they've got weight. Like you put this on your shelf, and you're making a statement for sure.
Oh, I bet. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
girl.
really
That thing is
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah, they're
You
really.
got to put
dope.
us in contact with who made that.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Making awards is one of
Sure.
the things that I've wanted to do forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
One was like that? I like that.
Evan,
I
I
mean,
sent you the
yeah.
link. Can you pull that up?
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. And it also makes the filmmakers proud to be part of it, and they want to be there, and they love talking to the fans. And there are some people who actually go to multiple festivals to see the same film because they just love it so much.
Yeah.
We do have quite a few premieres, but we don't insist on premieres. We want just films that match our program more than anything
Cool.
else. We're still
Yep.
currently in the programming section, but we're fairly late in October. So we tell people it doesn't have
Hell
to
yeah.
be a premiere unless you want it to be. Yeah, that's the Howler. So you got a sense of scale. of
Oh,
how
he's
That thing
scary.
is
Oh
huge.
my
Look
god.
at the size.
Oh Lord. What is he on stilts?
Yeah.
That is scary.
It is huge, and you can put its arm around you. And so this was before the
You can
event.
keep them
actually
6
started.
feet.
It's
That thing
a
is
big one.
scary.
That's rad.
Where is that now?
So Colton keeps it in his movie room the rest of the year,
Oh,
Sick.
Lord.
so cool.
and then
You walk in
takes
and
it
have
off
a jump
for the
scare.
festival. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Too bad we don't have any cool cryptids out here. What was that one bat one, Evan?
Oh, I forget. We did find one. Yeah, that was like a.
Here, pull up the best California one. Fuck Bigfoot. Pull up the Fresno crawler.
Oh
That's
God.
The
Fresno
we
night
need.
crawler.
We're gonna we're gonna have a 6-foot statue of the Fresno crawler.
A little sperm.
Don't you dare! I don't know
Look
what you
at these
got out of
things.
Mississippi. Look, that's terrifying.
Well, I guess
Terrell would
if I
run away
saw
from that.
If I saw that on a street, we can laugh about it now at our desks. But if I saw that at night
Right.
on the walk, I would shit bricks. Like
What
that
is that?
a weird thing.
Dude, you don't know about the Fresno crawler, dude?
That doesn't look real.
Dude, you don't know about the Fresno crawler?
Plushies.
I thought
I
it was
never-
Terrell.
cool.
I don't know about that shit,
Terrell,
girl.
I got an idea. We got to
No,
stop
ma'am.
talking about it. This is going to be the movie that you submit to, to
In search
Miriam's
of the
Fest.
Fresno
Yeah.
Nightcrawler. Hell yeah.
Dude, yep. All right, get it out of there. Somebody's going to steal our idea, Evan.
No, what I want to do
Right.
now after seeing this Eureka Springs place is like there needs to be a Vernon, Florida, but it's just Eureka
Oh,
Springs.
Lord. You bringing your shit into this?
What, you want to go make another movie?
I know.
Yeah,
The
before I'm
sequel?
even done with this one.
If you want to shoot in Arkansas, you let me know. I've got my contacts.
Oh, clock
Hell
that.
yeah.
Miriam, you don't invite that.
He gonna send you the inverts, girl. You don't want to see that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, submit the inverse, dude.
He gonna submit the inverts.
Hey, it's
I
playing in
know.
Japan in a couple weeks. Somebody likes it, Terrell.
Yeah, Terrell. God.
Yeah, Terrell.
All right. So how does your red carpet, that scary ass creature? So what got you into horror yourself, girl? I want to know what movies you like.
So I think that it took me a really long time to realize that I liked horror because I have parasomnia, and so the things that
What is
happen to me,
parasomnia? What does that do?
I don't even know the full definition, but sometimes I my eyes open and I move, and things are in the room that aren't supposed to be there, and I
Oh,
feel
when you're sleeping?
Yeah, it's like
Ooh.
I experience it like sleep paralysis without being paralyzed. So I see things, especially when I'm under a lot of stress.
Oh, that's scary.
My room at night. Yeah. And I always had a really vivid imagination. And also, I think I made the mistake a lot of people make where I didn't define horror right. I sort of had a very specific idea of what that was. But looking back, I was into very morbid, weird things. Like I remember, this is going to make me sound like a psycho, but I remember a mouse dying in our driveway that my parents didn't know about. And I just revisited it every day to see what happened with its body.
Why? Oh, Lord.
And I was like 9 years old.
I hate rats. Oh, goodness. Oh,
And
my
then,
Lanta.
I won't describe what happened, but I was curious.
What
right?
did you do? You wanted to come back to life? You like zombies?
No, I wanted to see how the
Study
ants
the
would fit up-
decomposition,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And it was
man.
weird because eventually you have like all the fur, but the insides are gone, and then the skull. So it's
The
like a
insides
furry-
were gone.
Yeah. So it's a flat furry thing with the skull.
Oh, my God. This is crazy. Look how you're all Miriam looking at dead rats. Oh, my God.
I was a very I was a very
Okay.
sweet child, but like there was this curiosity, and I remember. So I think with me, it also started with books. So I remember this one book, and by the
You're
way,
naming everything Terrell hates.
reading, ew,
Reading and rats.
reading, yeah.
Bitch. Okay, so how'd the book scare you, girl? Little
so
Goosebumps? Little Fear
I-
Street?
Before even Goosebumps, I remember one specific short story in a book, and anyone who's read that will know exactly what I'm talking about. But for starters, I now as an adult think that books are a great way to get kids into horror because they can tell you when to like close the book or keep reading or not keep reading, or they can linger on a page. And so not only are you getting them used to creepy things, but you're teaching them to recognize their own boundaries and communicate those. So now when I talk to parents who ask me like, how do I get my kids into horror without hurting them?
Therapist.
I always say start with books.
Love it.
Anyway, there goes the therapist. So
Yeah.
there was this one short story about this girl with, I think it was a green ribbon around her neck. The only thing I'm unsure about is the color, but it was a ribbon around her neck. I believe it was.
Okay.
And she was like this kid who grew up with this boy who was her age, and he kept asking her, why do you wear this green ribbon around your neck? And she's like, I'll tell you one day. And they grow up together. And eventually they fall in love, they start dating, they get married, they grow old together. And eventually, spoiler alert, for any of those who wanted to read it, but eventually she's lying in bed and dying, and he's by her side, and they're old. And she says, now's the time for me to tell you why I wear this green ribbon around my neck. And she opens it and her head falls off. And I remember it's like a 6 or 7 year old.
Oh my God, the headless ghost. What was she?
So that's the book that it's in, and I'm sure you can find.
Let me see. What is that called?
In a dark room and other scary stories.
So how you never see her take that off? She don't shower? What if they getting it in and he yanked her hair gonna come right off? Like, oh, like what is this?
That's the thing. It's like it's fantastical, right? You can't live if your head can fall off just like that, right? But there was something that disturbed me to my core about this story. I thought, because I was like 6 or 7, right? I thought about this story for years after, and there was this whole thing with like heads for me. And this is also going to make me sound like a weirdo, but growing up, I had this thing where sometimes I would be preoccupied with a topic, and back then, which says something about my age, there was no internet, so you had to go to a library, and they had those cards to find books, right? So I would find all books on that topic. I would lay them out on a table, and I would cross-read them all, and then put them back, and then come back later, and kept doing that until I felt satisfied with my knowledge. And there were a lot of stuff that I researched that way as a kid. But like heads became a thing. So, I also looked into the headless horseman, that was a thing. And how long is a head alive after a person's been beheaded, that sort of thing. It became this whole thing about like heads. But this story, it freaked me out for years. And I realized the more I revisited the story and that feeling of discomfort, the more I was actually also succumbing to the fascination of why it was making me feel this way. And so I didn't actually, this is actually quite funny because I didn't actually start. So I guess the movie that sort of got me into scary stuff was The Halloween Tree, which was like a straight to DVD movie from like 1992, 1993, something like that. Death was voiced by Leonard Nimoy, who had the same birthday as me. So that was cool.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So that was a thing. And then when I was 17, my high school boyfriend was like, hey, let me introduce you. There it is, The Halloween Tree. Ah, beautiful. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. I think based on a book.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
me either. I'm going to check this out. Watch it with Ellie.
Please do.
Yeah,
it's a very cute, slightly morbid, but very cute story about a group of friends who's trying to save the soul of one of their friends from the Grim Reaper, and in doing so they're traveling through time and visiting different versions of Halloween in different cultures and eras. I could just sum that up really well. Yeah, that's what the movie's about. So then when I was 17, my high school boyfriend said, hey, let's watch a horror movie, and I had been avoiding horror films until then, and he picked The Grudge. And
Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yes, she's currently filming the Buffy sequel, Slay. I can't wait.
Slay for sure.
Sorry.
But I watched the Japanese version.
That's Ju-on. That's different, girl.
Yeah, Ju-on. Apologies.
Never. You got me excited for nothing, Miss Therapist.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Mariam. That's a good movie.
Promises, and Dr. Mariam and Empty Promises. So, I remember the first half of the movie thinking, this isn't scary at all. And then something really scary happened at the halfway point. And then I was like, this is actually terrifying. I was wrong. And then it just got worse and worse until the end. And then that month, we also watched Saw together. And then I watched Exorcist on my own. So all these 3 films in like a month. And then I realized, oh my God, like these are not as scary as my nightmares. I actually love horror films. And the boyfriend had to go, the horror film stayed, and here we are now.
Damn, I love this story.
I remember when he showed me Saw, it was one of those things. We were like high school, he was 18, I was 17, and we were sitting on his bed, and he was like the back and leaning against the wall because I think he wanted to show me a scary movie, so I'd like cuddle up to him. And I was at the edge of the bed, all the way away from him. And he's like, "Hey,
he was mad, girl. He was mad at you, girl."
He's like, "Come on, I'm like, no, this is a really good part of the child's attention." And we're like watching on his like little computer screen.
I'm dead.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's how it goes. So yeah,
you reminded me with the talking about the books that I haven't thought about this book in forever, but when the like horror stories as a kid and how that I haven't thought about, but like my favorite when you said Sleepy Hollow, there was that series of like illustrated like classic novels, and I remember like getting this for Christmas or something one year, and that definitely was one of the things I think early on. You know, I've always talked about on this show like the video store thing is what, but I feel like this is maybe one of the things that got me into it initially because I never really considered it. But
yeah, Terrell, you excited? There's pictures in those books.
There are, yeah.
I read books. I read Clown in the Cornfield.
No, he did.
I did, and I saw the movie, and I was disappointed because the book was better. But go off.
Welcome
you
to
sound like a snob already. Look at you.
The movie wasn't as good because they left stuff out. Is what I was.
That's usually the case. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, it would have made more sense. You know, stuff like that. I don't know.
Especially the opening scene of the book. For those who haven't read it, is probably one of the most.
It's different.
I've ever read.
With Miss Janet, the girl that walked across the thing trying to relate with the other people, and it was better than what they gave us in that motherfucking movie.
The movie was more comedic, but anyway, so
it was more period. Oh, so you read the book?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm a therapist. That's what we did.
Oh yeah, period. Yes.
Rumor. No.
Period.
Yeah, I would agree when it comes to childhood. I think looking at the covers of films at the video store and looking at books, those are your first contact with things. And then dead, mice, rats in your driveway. That's the first contact to morbid things, I think. And it's actually funny. Last weekend was my goddaughter's birthday. And her mom planned this whole like unicorn and dragons themed party. She put in so much effort. I don't know how would put, with like little stations and stuff. It was really cute. But she basically said, "Hey, do you want to be like the evil witch at the end next to the chest?" And I was like, I mean, sure. So I did my makeup at home. But at first it was like a folklore inspired witch and it was way too freaky. And Uncle Frank said, "Go back and change your makeup. You're going to freak the kids out." So I went back and I was like, "What does a witch do?" He's like, "I don't know, green face." So I put on.
Oh, not alphabet up. Come on now.
Anyway, so I had this like whole get up. And I stood by the chest and all the kids were having fun. And there's this video of me cackling and screaming like, "Welcome, children," and like doing a whole thing. And all the kids are like taking 2 steps back. But my 2 goddaughters are like running because they're like, "Oh, it's
I love it.
Weird shit." And all the other kids are like, "Oh my God." But they did end up coming to me and I opened the chest and I gave them presents. And I went to their parents and I said, "This is a key memory now," because they were scared and then rewarded. They're all going to become horror fans one day. I can guarantee it. And the parents were like, "Oh shit, I think you're right." So, good stuff. Scaring kids. That's my plan B if it doesn't work out with the producer.
Period. Okay. Nice. This is very interesting. All right. So what movies recently have you seen that you were into? Was it Clown in Cornfield? So what else?
So I saw Together a few days ago.
Oh, I loved it. Wait, did you?
I thought so. In my head, like my head canon, it plays in the universe as the substance. No, I did like it.
Good. Yeah,
it was like very horror, very Hollywood meets body horror, which seems to be like a very like a blip in time that this is possible. And what I thought was interesting was, despite the whole setting and premise and the body horror aspect. It was actually a very realistic depiction of a couple's dynamic that is sort of struggling with their own personal identities and their dynamic as a couple. So, I have seen relationship dramas that are less realistic with their characters than this movie was. So, some people are going to like it, some people are not going to like it, but I thought it was a solid watch, and I thought that Dave Franco and Alison Brie were fantastically cast, and I thought it was well written, so I enjoyed it.
And they really married in real life. Ain't that great?
Yeah,
they met on the set of Scream 4. Ain't that great?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I just learned it too. But yeah, they fell in love.
What do you think of the king rat in the movie?
Are you gonna watch? And that had a lot of rats. It was very scary. I screamed. I really did scream. Ask Russell. So, side note: did you watch Weapons?
Not yet. I want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Is it good?
You gotta watch it. I thought, yeah, the ending.
I got a text from my friend Drew last night, who's Drew's not like a horror fan, and I just get a text out of the blue, 3 texts in a row that said "Weapons rules." Oh my god, holy shit!
Shout out
all
to Drew.
Caps.
Who is Drew?
He's watched a few movies with us in the Discord, but he's just a friend of mine. But he never watches horror stuff. He's like not a horror guy, so that's a pretty big deal if he was way into the movie,
Yeah, Mariam, I think Weapons is gonna become known as the movie people wanted Longlegs to be. Like it's got good marketing. It's a mystery up until the end. Then when you realize what's going on, you don't really know what's going on. And it
has so many questions
really good.
Left. But it took an hour and a half to get to what the fuck is happening. But it was kind of cool. I like. It was cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm like.
I like films that are an experience. I feel like you also, considering it's a miracle any film ever gets made, because filmmaking is so damn hard. When I watch a movie, I allow myself to experience it. And a lot of horror fans, you talk to them, they will complain about the entire movie, and then they'll say there are these 2 seconds that are amazing, and that makes it worth watching the movie. And then then people will watch the movie, right? That's the attitude of horror fans. Like, it doesn't have to be all good. It just needs to have its moment. So, I think we're living in an age where people get more attention for negative feedback on things than positive feedback. So a lot of people are quick to criticize. And it's like, just take a seat. No one cares. It's easy to complain. Like, find the things that you appreciate about it and celebrate those elements. So even things like, I don't know, Skinamarink is a really good example where people are like, I don't get it. It was boring, blah, blah, blah. It might have been marketed wrong. But ultimately, it's about the weird dreams a kid is having in a coma before he dies. And it's like, with that in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, I get it. This is actually that experience, and it makes a lot of sense. And so, when I think of other movies that people might complain about, it's like, whatever, just, watch it. And it's either your thing or it's not, but like, allow the experience to happen. So when I hear what you're saying about Weapons right now, I'm into it. I'm looking forward to that.
It's lowbrow, I don't even like saying lowbrow, but like it deals like it's gory in parts when it needs to be, but it's also treated like an A24 film. Okay. So it's like a perfect blend. But I had never heard the coma thing for Skinamarink.
Oh, really?
No, I'd never heard that before.
That's the first thing I heard of. I thought you knew that. You talked
really?
about it.
No, I had just heard that on Twitter. Somebody had made a review based on like a thing they saw on Reddit, like a lot of internet lore. And then there's this movie, and then I heard that you liked it, and it was art house. So
I was surprised I liked it, but maybe it's because I was sick and doped up on medication. But I loved it.
That's wild. How did I miss that context? Like, where did y'all hear about the kid in a coma?
Just on the internet. Yeah.
All of you at
Reddit
one time.
or somewhere.
You always on the internet too, so I'm confused.
And it also,
he stay on the internet, but don't answer my phone, my text messages, girl. Clock that T. Period.
Oh my god. Prove
now
it.
You're not one of the A friends. You're one of the B.
No, I'm not. I'm on the B squad, girl. Period. I didn't do that.
I think when you watch it, though, it already feels like it has a dream logic to it. You know how reality has different logics. So there's always already something about, when you're sleeping and you're sort of starting to get a little bit into consciousness, but you're not opening your eyes. And so you're not quite awake yet, but you're also not in your deep sleep. That is what all of this movie feels like. And that is because this, kid is where the kid is. And once you sort of put your mind in that space, even without the internet telling you that, you start to piece things together a little differently, because in what other scenario would you be hearing voices of people rather than seeing anything? It's the only thing that sort of makes sense. And like people crying and then suddenly not being there. Like for those who haven't seen the film, I don't want to spoil it, but like there's a lot of elements that tell you what's happening to the dad, to the mom, to the sister, and you start to piece that together, because it's hard on a family, and they're, you piece it together. So maybe watch it again with that in mind.
Russell.
It's funny. I guess I'm two on the internet, because prior to the movie, I'd seen the short film. Or I mean, I watched it after, and that's where I got the context, which is you can feel that short film maybe didn't have like such a succinct like mission statement, because it had a lot of other stuff going on, and it just felt kind of like messy.
Speaking of all this dream stuff too, though, and Mariam,
are you going to talk about Jamie Lee?
No, Mariam brought up Parasomnia earlier. No, shout out to Dream Eater. Everybody look out for Dream Eater. That movie's about parasomnia. It's an in-world camera movie, and just got picked up by Eli Roth's new production house. So
it's Mariam, earlier you were talking about kind of like finding your outlets, and there's a conversation like with us, I feel like we do everything kind of differently. We're always going down a weird different path just because it's right for what we're doing. And one thing that I've talked about for years now is just like, what is the best media outlet for us? And it's like traditional outlets. I don't know, like now in-world camera, found footage horror is more in the mainstream, and we're heading that direction even faster now. But for a while, it felt like Rue Morgue partnering with us would almost feel like not correct for them, like doing found footage. And Dream Eater, because Evan brought it up, we got coverage from your movie guy Chuck. Like we reached out to more influencers last year, and that blew up. I think he got over 4 million views, his review. Yeah. And it changed the trajectory of everything about that film and our relationship with the film fest. Like the director, actress, like people flew out that weren't going to come.
Oh, they were so nice. I love them both.
They had a medical emergency, but they're like, fuck, we got to go. So they came out. Then it picked up, and now, we can talk about it. It got distro with Eli Roth.
That's awesome.
And it's like this direct correlation through a post on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's Bloody Disgusting. Shout out to Dread Central, is always there with us. And like, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, what do I take from that? Like, do you want to lean more into social media, which feels kind of like you lose that kind of like, especially in the Bay Area, we have a like film, not movie culture.
Yeah.
And then here we come with like half our program is shot on a phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So for starters, I'm a huge fan of found footage and mockumentaries, but specifically found footage. I love seeing the creative ways that subgenre is reinvented all the time. And whenever I can get my hands on your strong submissions, you're kind enough to share them with me, and I love watching them. I'm a big fan, and we're also showing some found footage films at our festival as well, but we have to be select about it. I think the idea of suddenly wanting to lean too heavily into social media as like, okay, this is what we need to bet all our money on is not the right way to see things. I think if anything, you would want to encourage people to submit films who are either filmmakers or on social media themselves, because I can see that a lot of influencers who usually do particularly comedy are now starting to experiment with horror shorts and sort of encourage them to, even if it's a short film, submit that. And also maybe give some sort of opportunities for people attending the festival to, do photo ops or whatever that they would share. So it's not necessarily resting on your shoulders. And something that, and I'm giving you this advice just, on your podcast now, but something I would strongly urge you to do is really consider opening a secondary section to your festival that deals with immersive film. Our company, for example, our video game studio has a VR department. So I'm a co-founder of the studio called Spoondrift Games. We have a VR department, and we sometimes go to events like the Biennale Film Festival in Venice, representing Germany, and MR, so mixed reality, and XR. And immersive film, I would say, is the first type of storytelling media in a very long time that is completely in its experimentation phase. Yeah, that's our company. Yeah, and so with theater, it's been around thousands of years. Music, it's been around thousands of years. Film has been around for over 100 years. But immersive film is completely new. And whether you're a big company or an indie filmmaker, you're experimenting with how to tell stories through, for example, VR or AR. And there are a few festivals that have an immersive film section, like the Annecy Animation Festival or the Biennale that I just mentioned. But it is not something that is very difficult to set up. And especially in the horror space, you're going to have a lot of people who are creating short films for like VR, for example.
Yeah.
So if you could partner with someone who either can provide the hardware, or each team that has a film there has their own basically booth. And so basically people can come in the morning, put their name for a time slot for that day, and then experience the immersive film, the horror short film through VR during that slot. And that will, especially in the found footage section, that is where a lot of the new stuff is coming from. We're still experimenting with normal film as well, and technology and that sort of thing. But immersive film is where a lot of the big growth is currently happening. And it would make sense for your film festival to add that on to your normal program.
I feel like that format probably lends itself just immediately to like POV type stuff.
Oh yeah,
because
100%.
I mean it's built as a POV experience. So
yeah.
When you were out here last year, Mariam, we talked about that, and you know, the only thing is it just feels daunting to put that kind of stuff together, and we just need to do it. Especially, hey, Dream Eater, let Eli Roth know. I know he's got that POV immersive Valentine's Day short that's fantastic. Yeah.
And also, like, San Francisco is where GDC is at, right? So you already have a lot of developers, both big and indie developers, in your area.
A lot of game stuff there.
Yeah, so people who don't have to like travel and set up something, you know, I would 100% recommend that you do that, because nothing, I mean, film is already scary, but when you are in the story, it's a different level, which is why a lot of people are hesitant to play horror games, because they're a lot more intense. Like, for example, there are certain horror games that I can play, and then certain ones that I don't feel good playing, because I'm not great when I'm responsible for my own fate, right? I want someone else to keep me alive. I'm not good at keeping myself alive.
Yeah.
So with a movie, you kind of just watch it. But when you're playing a game and something happens and your thumbs cramp and you die, and it's like, well, this is frustrating and scary. So I'm not great at some horror games. I'm more of a co-pilot, which means, you know, saying, why did you do that? While someone is trying to focus on the game. It's sucky, but fun. But yeah, immersive film, I mean, some of the examples that I experienced at the Biennale that are not horror, one of them was you were a gentleman who had survived a stroke, and you were learning to gain power over your mind again. And so your adult daughter is sitting in front of you, and she's saying, write this word. And then you try to write a B, and it's really hard. And then she says, but Dad, that's a P. And you look down, and it turns into a P, and it's imitating the tricks your mind plays on you, and how hard the mechanics are, to really experience what it's like when you've been through that. And another one was you're walking as a captive, and I don't know if you need to like beat this word out or whatever, but like to a concentration camp, surrounded by other captives walking to a concentration camp. And even though it's just a walk, there's something about it that like chills you to the bone. So it's just a very intense and empathy inducing style of storytelling. So yeah, just do it. And if you have questions, just ask me and I'll give you some like pointers or point you in the right direction. But like,
Period.
just do it.
What other games do they got? You line up and get executed against a wall, and we're trying to have fun over here. What's that?
All right. So before we wind this down, what kind of games? I have one more question. So, do you work on other video games? And what kind of games is it that you have done that maybe I have seen or done?
So we are currently in our studio because we are a startup. So we've existed only a few years, and we've in the 3 years that we've existed have developed 5 IPs. We're currently working on the prototype or vertical slice of a cozy horror game that I can't say much about at this point. And another one's also like a colony management one. Again, this all sounds very vague, but it's always going to be horror combined with psychology. And it's either mechanics heavy and sort of fun in its sense of humor, because we like adding humor to a lot of our stories as well, whether it's sarcasm or, just a lightheartedness, or things that are more narrative heavy and sort of, dark fantasy rather than, classic horror. So the stuff that I personally create is not, it's not preachy, but it always has like the world has to be a richer place for it existing. I'm not going to take another asset pack for a house and put a ghost in it. That's not what I'm doing.
Evan thanks you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't take ourselves seriously as people. Like we take our job seriously, but not ourselves. So a lot of what we do is sort of like with a bit of humor or a bit of irony that kind of just it speaks very much to us. So in a few years, game development takes a very long time. I will come back on the show and I will plug the hell out of it.
Period.
Perfect.
Until then, we are talking to investors regarding an angel investment at the moment. So everything is keeping our mouths shut at the moment until
I'm excited.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our audience is loaded, so somebody go help them out with an angel investment. And then help us out. We need it.
All right. Well, you've been awesome, Miss Therapist, Dr. Mariam. But before we go, is there anything that you can, like, any tease, any upcoming events? And after that, you can plug away at your socials or wherever people can find out updates about you, the festival, and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But we like sneak peeks over here, so if you want to tease something else.
Oh, okay. Well, other than the festival, something I could tease. Mm-hmm. Let me get back to the show next year, and then I'll have a buttload to tease.
Oh, period. Okay, because you gave out a lot. That's good. But where can people catch up with you, follow you, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram. That's probably the best place. At Lady_Mariam, like Maria with the second M at the end, _Michael. And if you ever want to send me a message and not ask to see my tits, but talk about horror films,
you get that? Oh my God.
I mean, I've got Polish too, so there's it's a lot to ask for, but no, people tend to be very nice.
Okay, good.
I love the people who engage with me on social media. So find me, hit me up, tell me what you like, ask me what I like. Give me your opinion. I like listening. I know I spoke a lot in this podcast, but I love listening to people or reading your messages. So
period. They can send you dead rat photos. You'd be.
Oh my God, Mariam! Before you go, when do you normally drop programming information for Nightmare in the Ozark?
So we will probably drop it towards the end of the month because our late deadline is the end of the month. So we'll probably start trickling out more titles towards the end of August. We're now in our heated viewing season. So if you also have a film and you want to get in right before it's too late, especially feature films, because I kid you not, we have like 300 short film submissions.
Damn.
We've got about 150 feature film submissions. So there's a lot of viewing going on, but let the boys know or let me know and let's get you submitted before time runs out. We've got maybe until mid-August that we're doing our intense viewing, and then we're starting to lock things down.
All right.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Well, this was a blast, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Man. You were great. Thank you.
Oh,
That was it for this week's Footage Foreplay, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Everybody.
Thanks for listening to Footage Foreplay. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a review, sharing it with a friend, or simply hitting like. These small gestures are a great free way to support this mayhem, and if you find some footage we should be fondling, email us at footageforeplay@gmail.com. Check back every Tuesday and Thursday for new episodes, and remember, don't skip the foreplay.